I'm the official pitmaster of the Dallas Cowboys.
How did that, like, did Jerry just call you up one day and say, Matt, I'm a big fan. I want you to come cook for me?
24 years ago, we bought season tickets. Big reason for Meat Church. You know, we get to the parking lot of the old Texas Stadium. Somebody's like, well, we got to do this thing called tailgating. Who's going to cook? I'm like, well, obviously I am. I just started to do a whole slew of things for the team unofficially. Like the team would call me and said, hey, we want you to bring your smoker right next to the stadium before this game and do X, Y, Z. Like, I want to be official with you guys. No one does that, you know, and I don't know if you ever want to do it, but look at this synergy here. I'm really close with Dak. I've cooked for his family, just like my family, his family. That stuff you don't see. It's not, you know, I don't do it to make money. It's just like memorable. And by the way, I do this because I love to cook.
Hey, y'all, it's Pat Woodlock, a farmer. I'm here in Arlington, Texas, home of the Dallas Cowboys. So what do I got to do? I got to bring their biggest fan, their most favorite cook. I can promise you that. Matt Pittman from Meat Church joins the show today. We're talking Cowboys. We're talking barbecue. We're talking all of these worldwide experiences that he's had, the people that he's cooked for, and everything in between. Get ready. Matt, thanks finally for coming on the show.
I'm very excited. You're here in my college town. I'm in Arlington a lot, so, you know, makes perfect sense to meet up with you.
And right off the bat, we're going to play a game, Cut to the Chase, presented by Case Knives. Meat Church. I mean, right off the bat, where does that name even come from?
It's a great question. You know, my brother and I were competing in barbecue, and when I say competing, I don't mean trying to be world champions. It was like me, my brother, our families trying to drink beer and have a good time. We were decent, but we wanted to rebrand with like a catchy name. And so there's a really funny food writer in Dallas named Alice Lasad, and she had taken a picture of barbecue on a tray on a Sunday morning near lunchtime and tweeted something to the effect of, I'm about to have my hashtag Meat Church. And I thought it was funny, so I just screenshot it and filed it away. Months down the road, I thought that could be a cool name, because we say cooking outside is about the communal aspect, hanging out with your family, making memories, that sort of thing. So it's not meant to be religious, but it's definitely meant to be about hanging out in the fellowship sort of thing. And so, you know, I actually saw Alice at an event not too long down the road, and I said, hey, could I use that name for my barbecue team? And she was like, yeah, sure. So we went with it. I was very nervous, you know, having grown up Southern Baptist. I thought my grandparents would kill me, but it's two words that don't go together. So it's really catchy, and we've always focused on apparel, especially hats. Like right now, we've got like 35 different hats. We have a lot of hats out in the world. It's very common to go through an airport and see someone wearing something that says Meat Church, so it catches your eye. Actually, where you see them the most, go to girls' volleyball tournaments. I'm a volleyball dad. That's definitely my demographic, unfortunately.
And you just see your merch everywhere.
Yeah, it's just the coolest thing ever. I mean, walking through DFW and a guy walks by in a hat, I'll often go up and be like your hat, and it takes him a minute to realize it's me. But I had a super awkward one last week. I told a guy, I love your hat, and he was like, who the hell are you? And just kept walking. But I always say it is by far and away the best business decision I've ever made. It's been a huge part of our success.
Now, do you still talk to her after? I mean, you have taken Meat Church that was on social media to your barbecue team to a freaking monster.
Yeah.
I mean, y'all keep in touch?
Well, here's another aspect. She runs a charity called Meat Fight. That's how I know of her and why I follow her. It's a charity to fight MS. It's actually really cool. They started out with this annual event where they go get chefs, not barbecue people, so like classically trained chefs, and they have a barbecue competition, and then well-known barbecue people, professionals, judge it. So her husband is an attorney. So after I got the name, we went on a TV show, BBQ Pitmasters, and I thought I better trademark this thing. So I called her husband, Mike, and I said, can you help me trademark this? So he actually helped me trademark it in the beginning. But since then, she tells people that she gave away the only name better than Meat Fight for free, and her husband helped trademark it.
That right there is why I love that game. I mean, we talked a little bit before, like, you've got a case knife there that's literally been in generations' pockets. I love hearing the stories of dads and grandpas and everybody carrying their knives, but those types of stories is why we play this game. So shout out Case Knives.
I love it.
I could go down a rabbit hole, talk about recipes, who you've cooked for. I love the merch. I appreciate the new hat. But before, like, Matt Pittman, like, who is Matt? Well, let's back it up a little bit. Like, you're from Texas, born and raised. Like, was it always cooking? How'd you learn how to cook? Who's your inspiration to get you to cook? I mean, there's got to be some stories in there.
Yeah, I was actually born in Tennessee.
Okay.
And I have grandparents from Tennessee and Alabama, and we spent a lot of time with both of them. really close with our grandparents, but my grandmother's cooked. And so prior to barbecue, I've always been into cooking, but I never wanted to go to culinary school because I'm a business guy at the core, and I thought I need to go to school to get a degree to make what I called real money. And plus, I didn't want to work the crappy hours that chefs work. So, that was never a consideration to be like a professional cook. But I could cook you like crazy Southern meal, mashed potatoes, fried okra, sweet tea, like that sort of thing. So that was my thing. I was always in the kitchen asking questions and whatnot. Parents divorced, dad moved to Texas. I came down in the 6th grade, been here ever since. So pretty well Texan at this point. But I always tell people, barbecue to me growing up it would be pulled pork or ribs, and it was sweet, a lot of barbecue sauce. So when I got here, I didn't know that Texas barbecue was a thing or that it was different. No clue. First barbecue I had here was chopped beef, and I did really like it, but that has sauce on it. It's not like traditional Texas barbecue. But then at some point, I went down to Lockhart, Texas, which is known as barbecue capital of the world. And first experience went in Black's, which is over, I guess, about 100 years old. And I had a bite of a beef rib. And so these beef ribs are seasoned with just salt and pepper, and there's no barbecue sauce. I took a bite, and it was like a head-popping moment. I mean, I literally can remember it. And I'm like, whoa, like it's so different than anything I'd ever had. So that is literally the moment I fell in love with barbecue. And I didn't set out to like go build this barbecue empire or anything like that, but that did get me like loving barbecue. The next thing that really happened, 2 buddies in college, Chip and Pete, right here at University of Texas at Arlington, they made barbecue, and we had a huge smoker at our fraternity house. Well, they would make barbecue on the weekends and invite me over to, hey, you want to make ribs? I'm like, yeah, sure. Well, they did things on a big scale. So, we're 21, 22 years old, no money. And I'd show up to my buddy Pete's house, and he'd pull out 50 racks of ribs. His parents had passed away tragically in a car wreck, so he inherited a family business, and Pete had a little more money than the rest of us had at that age. So when he said, you want to make ribs, it wasn't 2 or 3 racks. It was like 50 racks. Got into it, started doing some competitions with them. They competed. I thought they were like barbecue gods. Well, Pete's an electrician, and we're at a barbecue comp, and Pete pulls a screwdriver out of his work shirt and is stirring barbecue sauce in a mason jar and it's not a new screwdriver, by the way. Pulls it out of the sauce, says, try this. So I give it a try. And in that moment, I swear to you, I was like, I'm going to be a little more serious and intentional and in control of this situation than my 2 drunk friends that I'm with. So that's when I broke off on my own, did my own team. And any hobby that I've ever gotten into, if my wife were here, she would tell you I go like knee deep. Started doing triathlon years ago, and within 3 years, I wasn't satisfied until I did a full Ironman. So this is the same way.
Did you do one?
I did. 2010, got the tattoo on the back of my calf. I retired, though. Kenny Powers taught me that it's not cool to be the best at exercise. So now I'm fat and good at barbecue. But anyway, so I did go knee deep into it. And honestly, the truth of the matter is my youngest kids were infants, and you can't go anywhere. You're home with your kids. So I had a lot more time on my hands. So I dug in, and I'll tell you the shortest thing I can tell you about how Meat Church became a thing was I started Instagram because it's visual, and I would put my food on there, but I would tell you how I made it. And I wasn't trying to build a business. It was just a creative outlet for me. And people were into thanks for telling me how you made that steak. And so that's how I accidentally created this company. In addition to going on the show, and they're like, hey, if you make a seasoning, you can bring it. I know we weren't going down that rabbit hole yet, but yeah, that's how I got started. But, I grew up in the South, came here, went to UTA, and then got a degree in finance, which seems really odd. Immediately jumped into IT in financial services. So I spent 19 years in corporate America, ultimately leading IT in the financial services world and cooking on the side. And then a few years into Meat Church, after it blew up, I exited that job in Fort Worth and retired at 40 and hopped over to do this full time.
And there's not a lot of people that know that. I mean, you were a corporate businessman before you started Meat Church.
Yeah. Really good career. I started when my wife and I started dating. She had 2 boys in elementary school, and then we had 2 more, so we have 4 kids. And so when Meat Church kind of started to pop, I had 2 in college, which I had not saved for my entire life. But yeah, I'm definitely big corporate background. Unfortunately, I can't even think about that anymore. I can't even think about going into an office full of meetings and conference rooms and all that. It's like the opposite of what I do now.
Depending on what business realm you come from, you take a lot of those experiences and you become an entrepreneur like you did. When you think about, and I'm just assuming it's like what Josh and I did, going from, had my business career at Ag America, and then we started seeing this lifestyle of rural America. Like, okay, people are wanting to drive pickup trucks, wear cowboy boots, listen to country music, learn how to cook, learn how to fish, learn how to hunt. There's a lifestyle brand here that we want to go attack. So we started the media company. Did you see any hint of that when it comes, because when you think about barbecuing, it is a lifestyle. Mm-hmm. It's a hobby for most. It brings friends together. You've got to do it on Saturdays and Sundays, especially in the fall, whether you're hunting or watching football. But did you kind of think like, man, this is a lifestyle that I'm enjoying as a hobby. Now it's time to create a business around it. I'm assuming that's kind of close to how it went down.
Yeah, I mean, what happened was I was a fan of the show BBQ Pitmasters, and then I looked into how do you get on there, and apparently you try out, you submit a tryout. So I did, and it went viral on social media, and so I think that's how we got picked. But I only had 3 weeks notice, shot it in Tampa, Florida. I had to drive 22 hours from here to there with a pit. So in those 3 weeks, there's a producer calling you, telling you what to expect. And she said, by the way, if you make your own barbecue products, we can show it on the show. And I said, what do you mean? She goes, well, if you use commercial stuff, we put gaff tape over it. Well, that was in the back of my mind, and I've always been an entrepreneur. So one of my seasonings has honey powder in it, and you can't get honey powder at like a regular grocery store. So I was on lunch break from my job getting 5 pounds of honey powder to prepare for the show at this facility that I knew sold it. And I told the guy that. He's like, well, I can make your rub for you. Just give me your recipe and I'll put it in a bottle. And I said, well, how much? And he said, well, 36 pounds. I said, that sounds like a lot. But I left and I called my brother. I had a 20-minute drive home, and I told him. He goes, well, dude, do it. So I called the guy back. It'd only been, a few miles down the road. And I said, bottle it. Call it Meat Church Holy Cow. And I'll call you tomorrow with a name for the other rub, and which is now known as Honey Hog. Myron Mixon's a judge on the show. He calls pigs hogs. So I said, call that one Honey Hog. I'm marketing right away. So 4 months later, the show aired. I finished a solid third place out of 3 teams.
So you came in last?
I mean, I was on the podium.
Okay, yeah.
My mom was proud. And but I'd launched the website by then, filed for the trademark like we talked about. And then I've got a website with the shirt and hat that I wore on the show, a shirt and hat that didn't make the cut, my 2 seasonings, a koozie, and a sticker. And we sold like 6 things on our Shopify store that night. So that was it. But then, coupled with starting Instagram, I noticed that every time I would post some of my food, people would buy it on the website. So I kept doing it.
And take me back on what year was this when all of this
2014.
was going? Okay, yeah.
And then I started.
So you've been doing this a solid.
Yeah, it's 11 years
years
now.
Yeah.
And then I started sending my seasoning to people that would have. It's funny if you think about now, people with these massive social followings. Content creation wasn't a thing then, but I would send my seasoning to somebody that I saw cooked, and they had like 3,000 followers, and then they'd post it. We've never done anything paid. It's just always been really organic. But that's what did it, and that's what we've always done. We've actually never even had a marketing. We don't have a marketing person in the company. You're talking to them, and we've never paid a marketing company until we started doing digital ads last year. It's just always been like literally like my reality TV, like my cooking. And
organic, word of mouth.
100%.
Having a product that you believe in and that other people believe in.
Yeah.
It's funny. I mean, let's just go back the last 5 minutes. Like, this started because you were being drunk in college with your boys just cooking. You're like, man, I kind of want to take this serious a little bit. So it's interesting when you think about these businesses that you have built that come from just these little things that happen in life that's like, I'm a big fan of what you're doing because you go all in. I mean, you probably had a nice, cushy job in corporate America. You're probably making decent money. It's like, I want to go do what I believe in, what I love, what is fun. I don't want to go 9 to 5 into an office. And listen, me saying that, and you'll believe this, it's like that doesn't mean that you're just sit back every day being lazy, collecting money. I mean, you are the guy. You're wearing all sorts of caps as an entrepreneur, which is cool. But you have a product that you believe in, and I'm going back to this lifestyle word that I like to use. It's like barbecue is a lifestyle, and it's in a bunch of different elements, whether it's hunting, whether it's sports, just getting friends together, backyard parties. I mean, it's cool to see what you've built when it comes to Meat Church.
Yeah, I mean, I've been very fortunate because, I'm in the food business. Technically, everybody's got to eat. But if you look at like Traeger, for instance, they do a great job. They have all these various communities. And so just going on what you just mentioned, they focus on, they've got a outdoor community, which is professional hunters and anglers. And, when they have their big grill launches, they bring these people in. There'll be all kinds of football players. And I just look across the realm of everyone. It's like everyone cooks. And so, same thing with us. I mean, everything you mentioned, they're all hobbies of mine. I'm a total outdoorsman at the core. I always say I want my schedule open enough to where if somebody calls me and says, do you want to hunt or fish today? I can say yes. And so to me, it's all about being outside. That's, we certainly do cook inside, but most of our stuff is all outside. I tell people if you cook outside, it automatically tastes better. So we're trying to build an outdoor brand basically. But all those little verticals you mentioned, that's what it's all about. Whether you're just cooking for your kids or, you're at your deer lease, or if you're working on a ranch, or if it's getting ready to tailgate or whatever, it all plays. So we've been very fortunate, especially coming through COVID, like everybody to stay home and cook, and we really blew up then, obviously. So
what were some like strategies that you did when COVID came?
The thing for us, we blew up so much immediately that we were consumed with trying to keep up.
And when you say blow up, though, does that mean as in like in the retail shop, or
So meat churches, over the years has shifted. At first, you had to buy it online because we weren't in a lot of stores. And now as years gone by, consumer behaviors change because you can go down the street to Ace Hardware, wherever your local place is to buy, and you can buy one bottle versus coming to our website to buy a package of, a bunch of them or whatever. Our online channels and wholesale channels more than tripled the first year of COVID. So the thing that's interesting, the year that everyone said we got nothing to do and they started TikToks, I didn't have time to do TikToks. We certainly are on every social platform, but I did not ever have the time to go, let's just go make a goofy video. So we had to focus on like maintaining the business. There were supply demands, obviously, all the constraints of COVID. But for years, I used to hate saying like COVID was good to us. I know how bad it was and horrible for people that lost folks and things like that. So I hate to say that, but the staying at home and cooking aspect for 5 months was super good for Meat Church. I mean, I hear 10 times a week people saying, I found you during COVID. I was on the Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon last year, and he said he found me because of COVID. Crazy.
Dude, I cannot wait to start getting, because you have, before we even turn the cameras on, some of the stories are just unbelievable. And it starts with cooking. Cooking brings so many people. I compare it to sports, right? You don't get to see a ton of winning for the teams that you cheer for, but like cooking.
I'm a Stars guy. That's going good right now.
Dude, are you kidding me? We talked about that at Joe T. Garcia's last night. The Dallas Stars. And listen, I'm a Florida boy. Now, we're a hockey state. You got Lightning.
Yeah,
you got the Panthers. But what is going on with that?
If you don't know this, so out of college, one of my fraternity brothers worked for the Rangers, and so I worked for the Rangers in '97, and then he went over to work for the Stars, and the next year, '99, I went over as I don't even call it a job, but it was a night from 5 p.m. to 1 a.m. I was a game day equipment assistant, so I did that for like 16 or 17 seasons. So I'm a big hockey guy. The reason I love it is the Stanley Cup truly is the hardest trophy to win in all of sports. Like my 12-year-old is now really understanding. He's like, God, these playoffs are crazy. Like you have to beat every team 4 times. I'm like, it's insane, but it's special. It's fun. It was a good time the other night.
So while we're talking about sports, let's correct me if I'm wrong. You were the official, for the Cowboys?
I'm the official Pitmaster of the Dallas Cowboys.
Is that even a thing in the NFL? Are you the only one?
I think the way we're doing it, yes. I do know that my buddy Jack does some stuff for the Buffalo Bills, which I think is a little bit different than what I do. But
shout out Bills.
It is really cool though, because
how did that? Like, did Jerry just call you up one day and say, Matt, I'm a big fan. I want you to come cook for me?
I willed it into a thing, which is nuts, but it is a super cool story. It's the most meaningful thing that's ever happened to me in this business. Let me tell you the story because it's really cool.
Yeah.
So I drove over to the old Texas Stadium on my own because I was such a football fan and applied for a job as an usher. Got it. Did that for 5 years. But years 2 through 5, I was a water boy for the cheerleaders.
This is for the Cowboys.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God.
This is way back in the day. And so I always tell people, life full of bad decisions. I left that job being a water boy for the cheerleaders to go buy a ticket, which was dumb. But I bought one ticket, and my brother and 2 other buddies, so 24 years ago, we bought season tickets. And, so we've done it ever since. So big reason for Meat Church. We get to the parking lot of the old Texas Stadium. Somebody's like, well, we got to do this thing called tailgating. Who's going to cook? I'm like, well, obviously I am. And so that was a big catalyst for what I do, cooking at those tailgates. But anyway, so been doing this for a number of years, and I've just got like a lot of organic relationships. I don't use an agent or representation. So the people that I cook for, celebrities, whether it be athletes or musicians, it's all been word of mouth sort of thing. So I've got some player relationships on the Cowboys. And so that was one thing. Well, a couple years ago, I just started to do a whole slew of things for the team unofficially. Like the team would call me and said, hey, we want you to bring your smoker right next to the stadium before this game and do XYZ. This week we want you to be the celebrity chef. So anyway, I do 8 or 10 things in one season. And the last game of the year, this fan comes up to me and she's like, are you official with the Cowboys? I said, no, ma'am. Well, do you want to be? I said, I do, but that's not a thing. Well, I knew guys in marketing because I work with Miller Lite. And Miller Lite's, their person with the Cowboys, a friend of mine now, Rolla Bradley, would always walk me up to meet Miller Lite. Well, one day I looked at Rolla and I said, hey, man, I'm about to make you what I'm going to call a visual resume. I said, I've done so much with the team this year. There's something here. Like, and he's like, I agree. So we had a meeting and we got together. And I said, hey, like, I want to be official with you guys. No one does that, you know, and I don't know if you ever want to do it, but look at this synergy here. And so they're like, yeah. So basically they went away and came back and made me an official partner of the Cowboys. So it isn't just like some social media title, like it's a real deal. But man, it's rolling right now. Like, it's so cool because I think the guys trust, like the guys and the players, they trust me. I'm a fan. I'm a big fan, but I'm not a fanatic. You know, I'm not a nut job that, you know, is all painted up or whatever. Like, they just sent me to the NFL draft this year with my son, and it was all what they call super fans. Like, you would recognize someone from TV for sure.
Oh, yeah.
But then there was me and the guy that leads marketing for Dr. Pepper. So we were like the partners that were there, and we both had 12-year-olds. So it was like, I'll never forget it. But anyway, I think through a lot of the relationships I have with the guys, like Dak, I'm really close with Dak. I've cooked for his family, just like my family, his family. That stuff you don't see. It's not, you know, I don't do it to make money. It's just like memorable. And by the way, I do this because I love to cook. And I go back to like my grandmother's. You know, you're growing up and you eat a meal, and we'd go to the living room to watch either NASCAR or the Braves play. And then within an hour after the dishes are clean, my grandmothers would come out and they'd be like, you guys want anything to eat? And I'm like, we just ate. They're taking care of you. And so that's why I like serving people. And so that's why I do what I do.
That right there is why he's on the show today, is because that is the most Southern thing I've ever heard. You know, when your grandmas are cooking for you and you're either watching NASCAR or you're watching the Atlanta Braves, because as you know and as I know, being from the South, that's the only damn team you could watch in baseball.
Yep.
Go ahead,
Yep.
sorry.
So anyway, through all of that, you know, this thing comes together. But it's really special right now because what'll happen is, like, Dak invited me over to boil crawfish for his family, which we did. And he goes, man, I want to get some guys together to do this. Well, the team finds out, and they say this year, they say, well, hey, first day of off season, do you want to come cook crawfish for the team? And, you know, it's 500 pounds. It's new coach, new coaches, new players. So literally day one, I watched guys meeting each other. I watched new position coaches walking their player around the field, just talking, literally learning each other as I'm cooking, me and my team, I should say. And then they come over and eat the most communal meal you could ever have, you know, having crawfish around a table. Super cool. I mean, not only do I love cooking crawfish, but watching people enjoy it, like, that's amazing. But, you know, like this year alone, I've, you know, yesterday was the Dallas Cowboys golf tournament where they got 24 players out there and all their partners and whatnot. So we don't have to do those sorts of things. We're like, hey, do you want to come out? And I'm like, you know what? It would be fun to go set up on a hole and serve food. So I have a chef that works for me and a couple of my employees. And so it was 101 here yesterday. They had 2 tee times. We were on the course from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Didn't mind it at all. We were paired up with a long drive guy who did all these trick shots behind us. We had the best time. And we were dreading the 101. Never even really crossed our mind because it was so fun. Next week, I'm doing a demo for all the players, which I did this last year as well. I'm doing a demo for the new coaches where I'm literally teaching them to cook, like saying, okay, I know you're busy during the season, but here's things you can do that are real easy. And then the next week, I'll cook for the entire team. I'm cooking barbecue for nearly 400 the last day of OTAs. And then I'll go to Oxnard to training camp and do a full meal out there.
Damn, so this is a gig.
It's a gig, yeah. It's not what I always tell people, it's not a social media bit.
Yeah.
It's real. Like, because if I'm going to do this, like, I want to cook. And then there'll be other things that I'll do during the season and whatnot. And from a business perspective, you'd love this. Their partners are coming out of the woodworks to work with us. So in 2 weeks, I film with Pepsi and 3 players. So every month there will be a food post on Instagram that's like Dallas Cowboys Pepsi Meat Church collab post where me, our kicker, punter, and deep snapper are all doing stuff together. So there's a ton. Like, it's rolling.
Isn't it unbelievable to sit back and think about, like, dude?
I've told
because
people
it's all organic too.
It's organic, and this is, I mean, to say it's full circle is an understatement. Like, this dude who went in a parking lot and bought this cheap grill and learned to cook in a parking lot of a Cowboys game is now their official pitmaster. I cook for Troy Aikman every year, and he knows this. I'm like, when I first started coming, you were the quarterback. And it's like, now I'm cooking for you. It's super. Of all the things that we do, you know, it is by far and away the coolest. And I know we didn't have a good record last year. Like, people are like, oh, man, you partnered with a team last year. And
last year, I mean, come on. Actually, I'm not going to hate. You know what? I'm not going to hate.
Y'all
Y'all have had a bunch of double.
They'll have great regular seasons. But it's funny. It's like we always joke. We know how every season ends. And, of course, I'm optimistic again. But, you know, you learn it's about your family and the time you have around it. And then, by the way, all this said, we always say it's about the tailgating and experience. We're going to win in the parking lot. And then what happens in the game happens in the game. So,
man, it's just, I mean, you can't beat football. You just can't.
No, you can't. It's king for a reason.
Can you give me any type of, like, hot takes on what you think y'all are going to do this year? As a fan,
so,
you know?
I am very intrigued, and I was actually talking to a player yesterday. I'll remain nameless because I was wanting to know, like, okay, now Schottenheimer's been here, but, you know, it's all new coaches. I'm like, how much is how different's the playbook? Because that's what, you know, you're a brand new guy. But if you look at, you know, we just made a big trade for George Pickens. The offense looks scary.
That trade was just...
Hey, this city wanted them to be aggressive, and they finally did it. So I'm happy about that. Everything you see is very optimistic, but you just never know in the NFL. The schedule came out recently, and that's nuts. We have like 4 Thursday games, and they have a ton of primetime games. So, hey, love them or hate them. And you
people want to watch them.
I know. It's like I'm like, look at the season we had last year, and we just got like the most darling schedule, you know, playing the Chiefs on Thanksgiving. Like, they're America's team for a reason. So I am optimistic based on Dak coming back and being healthy. He looks super good, like he's, you know, slimmed down, and everyone's fired up. But, you know, it's such a wild card with a whole new staff. So I just don't know about that. But I will tell you one more thing. I hope more than ever it works because Brian Schottenheimer is the man. He is. No one here was excited about the hire. No one. The whole world wanted to crucify Jerry, right? You didn't pick one of these sexy coordinators. You go with the guy that's going to be your puppet. This guy is the most respectful, the communicator. I mean, he will look you in your eye, and whatever you're saying is the most important thing going on. It's insane. He met my wife at the ACMs, talked to her for 15 minutes, never looked away. Funny, she didn't know who he was. And we walked off from this ACM gal, and she goes, "What'd you say he does for the Cowboys again?" I said, "Honey, that's our head coach." But everyone loves him. The energy around there is awesome. He's such a great human. So, I for him, I'm super hopeful. It'd be cool if he could follow in his dad's footsteps and have the same kind of success.
No kidding. Do you ever spend much time with Jerry? Or have you?
No. I've actually only had one interaction with Jerry, and it was hysterical. Last year, the team took me on the road to one game, went on the Commanders game, and the Jones family comes in on their own plane. Well, they were delayed. So we were leaving the field after warm-ups, and the Jones family's coming out. And I know John Steven really well, and he had told me, hey, we're running late. Well, I wasn't meeting them or anything, but we go to, like, head up the stairs, and the guy, Aaron, that was kind of my host, was like, hey, come here. And he walks me over to Jerry. I'd never met Jerry. And this is caught on video randomly by a local news guy. And I shake Jerry's hand, and he leans over and he goes, "Thank you for your barbecue." But on film, it looks so like he knew me, and it was perfect, and it was just like so random. So by the time I get to my seats, Pat Doney, Channel 5 here, has put it on Twitter, and my phone has blown up. They're like, "Look at you, Jerry's guy," and I'd never met him before.
That is great. I mean, dude, you got to respect that guy. I mean, he knows what he wants. He gets it done. And
think about this. You go start a business and you get rich and you decide, I'm going to go buy a football team. I'd probably be the GM too.
Yeah, no kidding. It's my way or the highway, baby.
I made the money. I bought the team. If you don't like it, go buy your own team.
Exactly. Hey, I play another game on the show, okay? This one's just a question game presented by LEVRACK. Shout out Ryan.
Love Ryan. Love LEVRACK.
Dude, Ryan might be the best guy in the world, but the product, I mean, who in their right mind can make a shelf sexy? That guy can.
Yeah, who can turn shelving, who can make it cool?
Yeah, and he's done it, man. So shout out LEVRACK. So we got some questions, all right? You just answer them as honest as you like, all right?
Okay.
Who is the coolest person you've ever cooked for?
George W. Bush.
How was that?
Cooked his Christmas meal 2 years ago for his family, for his 2 daughters and their husbands. Amazing. Well known that, I get asked all the time, who do you want to cook for? And he's been my answer forever because I was in the stock market business when September 11th happened, and I've just thought, non-political answer. just could you imagine having to lead this country after that? Plus, he owned the Texas Rangers, and so people that know him say he's a great guy. So Troy's always told me he's a great guy. So for whatever reason, he was my guy, and same thing, willed it into existence. Answered it enough times on social media that a guy called me and said, I think I can make it happen. And 2 years later, I was in Crawford at his ranch cooking his Christmas meal.
We're not talking about just cooking for President George W. Bush. I mean, you cooked his Christmas family meal.
A holiday meal. But let me tell you, this guy's a pro. I leave the house, and we're in my wife's Escalade. I open it up, and there's like a thank you ornament and Christmas card on the console sitting there, hand signed. And
First class.
I mean, unreal. When I walked off, I handed him a letter. I wrote him the first letter I've written probably since I was a kid. I wrote him a handwritten letter that just tell him, thank you for letting me do this, and told him how much it meant to me. Handed it to him. He turned around and he looked at me as he drove off on his Ranger, and he says, if you're cooking for Dak Prescott, you need to be cooking for George W. Bush, and drives off. I get home.
Those epic one-liners that he's always had.
I will never forget it. But 2-3 weeks later, I got a handwritten letter back from him, not written by someone on the staff, handwritten by him. I mean, he's first class.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah. That was the easy answer.
A little story about President Bush is, and, you know, I've had some business ventures with Governor Jeb Bush, but President W. So when 9/11 happened, my uncle, who went on to be our Commissioner of Agriculture, who is now the CEO of Ducks Unlimited, was congressman in Florida, and he was with President Bush the day 9/11 happened. Wow. At the school when President got told, and he left with President Bush and was not to be heard from for a couple of days. So it was one of the scariest probably times in our whole family's lives, but just a class act, and that whole family, obviously. But
it was super cool. I took my wife with me, and she'd tell you the same thing. Like, we were very moved by the whole deal. So he looked at me when I pulled up, and he said, Waxahachie, huh? I said, yes, sir. He said, the Indians? I said, how did you know that? He said, I used to be the governor, man. I used to get paid to know these things. I think I can remember everything he told me. He took us on like a 45-minute tour of his ranch. He goes, hey, you want to hop in with me and Laura and go tour the ranch? We're like, yeah, we want to do that.
Yeah. All right, next question. You're hosting a barbecue, okay? You get 3 invites and 3 only. Name me the 3 invites to the Meat Church barbecue.
Are they live or no? It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Well, definitely my 2 grandmothers, because they taught me to cook, and they don't know that I can cook. They never got to have it. And so they have no clue. Well, you know, they do, but they don't. So not to cop out and use 2 as, 2 answers, but my 2 grandmothers, my granny from Alabama, my mamaw from Oak Ridge, Tennessee, and then just to make my grandfather proud, it's probably going to be Nick Saban. Big Bama guy.
Have you ever cooked for Nick?
No, and that is now my new mission of trying to make that happen. In fact, this is another football thing. I literally mentioned it to CD Lamb yesterday because they share an agent. I got to work those angles.
Oh, yeah, CD. I mean, he's with CAA. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great agency.
Well, now that he's not with Alabama, I feel like he might have a minute where he could eat. Before, I don't think the guy slept or ate. So we'll see.
I think what we need to do is, I mean, you got President George W., so this is going to happen, but maybe it's like a game day thing.
I'm down.
Because Saban is on game day, so it'd be Saban, Pat, Herb Street.
Pat's had my food. I was the guest chef college game day on his first day. He called me the Meat Church high priest guy on TV.
But Saban wasn't there at the time.
Right.
So that's gonna be an easy one, man.
Well, and a guy that my friend Cameron does a lot of our video stuff from time to time. He's big time. He does body armor stuff, and so he shot CD this year, and that's when I learned they had the same agent. And Jimmy Sexton's his agent, but a lady named Amy is like, I call her Saban's handler. She's always posting where he's at, so she knows I want to do it.
Dude, number one, Jimmy Sexton's probably the best. I mean, CAA as an agency is the best, but Jimmy Sexton he's got everybody.
Yeah.
Listen, as a college football fan, and if you don't like a coach and you want him gone and you find out Jimmy Sexton is his agent, you better be able to get out the checkbook, because if you fire that coach, you're going to pay him, because Jimmy Sexton got a good deal for his client.
Yeah, so. For sure. Yeah,
first class guy.
Hopefully it can happen, so we'll see.
All right, last question. Now, you been barbecuing, let's just say your whole life, there's got to be some mess ups that you've had. Name me just one epic mess up, whether it was at a cooking competition, cooking for somebody famous that you're like, shit.
You know, this might not sound like a huge deal, but I was going to cook for Miranda Lambert, and we were taking like a traditional meal, or like, you know, traditional kind of barbecue items, and we were taking, anytime, we try to give variety, so we try to do lighter stuff, so I was only doing 2 meats. We were taking turkey breast, which is a big deal in Texas. They're called turkey lobes. They're almost as big as a brisket, like maybe like half the size of a brisket. So I was doing like brisket and turkey, and I put the turkey in a warmer that like turned off, or I don't know what the hell happened, but I know we went to go leave to go feed them, and the turkey had like been at room temperature for, you know, a day or whatever the heck it was. So nothing will cut you to the core like having to do what I'll call a celebrity catering and realize it's screwed. So thank God there was enough of other stuff, and we kind of made it happen. But I'll never forget that moment of opening that warmer and going, oh shit, like this isn't good, because you can't just go down the road and get that. But
God, man,
it worked out, but
yeah.
I was a little nervous.
The experiences that you've had so far, I mean, let's just go ahead and dig into Augusta. Even this, I mean, we were both at Augusta together. Like,
Yeah.
Tell me how that was.
Man, that's a trip. You know, I always tell good people help good people, and your next job will come from your network, and it's just like, who do you know? And so cooking for Aikman, I got to meet his college buddy, Doug Klein, who is his middle linebacker at UCLA. We become buddies. And the company he works for, a company called LaWast, they have been entertaining at Augusta for 20 years. And he took me last year. And Troy was in town with CAA, ironically. His daughter is working there. And anyway, he came over and had dinner with us. So I ended up cooking at, they rent, I think, like 6 houses. You know how it goes in Augusta. People rent out their home. So they rent like 6 homes. Ironically, the homeowner, apparently where I'm at, is a meat church guy. I don't know him or anything. Well, he hears I'm coming, so he goes and buys a new Traeger for me to cook on. So I show up in Augusta, and there's a brand new grill with stickers on it. I was like, awesome. Yeah, I got to meet him. Super cool guy. But we cooked there last year, not this past, 2 years ago. And Doug had told me he'd been there like 19 years and never taken the same person twice. And then he re-invited me this year, so I felt pretty good. So went back again. It's a lot of fun. They bring in a couple chefs to cook all week, but I do like one big barbecue meal for everybody. But they take me out on the course, for a couple days, which is, as you know, like so fun. But this year, I go middle of the week. So we've done Wednesday, the par 3 day, which is a blast.
Yeah, it's a good one.
So we did Wednesday, Thursday, which was a ton of fun. But, we were talking before this got started this year. I'm always enamored with how'd you get your tickets, because the stories are crazy. But there was a guy in our group, as we walked in, I scanned my badge and I keep walking, and I hear the badge reader make a funny sound, and I just kept walking. I was like, oh boy.
Yeah, I'm not turning around.
Oh, yeah, I got about 20 feet up, and I looked, and they were pulling his badge out of his sleeve, and then he points to, I guess they gave him the who you with, and he points to somebody else, and they pull his badge out of the sleeve, and they whisked him away. Like right when you walk in the gate at Augusta, if you look to the right, there's a little building.
Oh, yeah.
And they were over there in the shack, but so I can't see them. And I had heard that it's like a 45-minute deal. So you have no phone at this point. So I walk up by the restrooms, and I just stand there trying to, fit in. Crazy. I meet all these meat church people. Oh, are you Matt Pittman? I see some people with the Dallas Cowboys, which was funny. What are you doing here? I was like, well, one of my buddies just got popped. I'm waiting to see if he gets through. So I waited an hour, and sure enough, so he went to Georgia, and he's wearing a Bulldogs hat, and it was a red hat. So I see this red hat coming. You should have seen me. I threw my arms up. I'm like, yes! Like I felt like we won. And I'm like, that's my guy. So he comes up to me, and he's like, I can't believe you waited an hour. I said, well, what the hell? What else am I going to do?
Yeah, I couldn't find you. You can't have a phone in there.
So apparently I'd learned he quit drinking at some point, and I forgot that. And I said, man, I bet you need a drink. And as soon as I said it, I thought, I go, that's okay. I'll drink yours.
So what had happened, though? Did he get a...
So I know there was a major crackdown this year.
Yeah.
There's all those hospitality companies. His was random, but, we've read a ton of articles since then, and people would get pulled and, get questioned. And they said that it was just like everything in Augusta. It was like super efficient. You wait in line. They waited 45 minutes, and then, they said the line never got any longer or smaller, although they waited there 45 minutes. They said we went in a room, there were 2 people. They were like, we thought it was going to be good cop, bad cop. They're like, no, it was bad cop, bad cop. Said that, we heard rumors that I don't know if this is true, but ex-CIA or FBI people asking questions. They said they drilled them. They're like, where'd you get these? Did you pay for them? Where are you staying? What's the address? Don't know. You have my phone. How much did you pay for the place you're staying? Like they hammered them. And then they gave their badges back and they went in. But they did witness a lot of people not getting their plastic badge back, but rather being given paper tickets, which I think means that's gone for the ticket holder and them, but they let them in for the day. But, there's been a lot of articles that came out after that there was a big crackdown. I know, it's kind of crazy to me. You're a sports guy. There's a secondary market for everything, but it's like not legal there, it's kind of crazy.
It's unbelievable.
It's bizarre, to be honest with you. But
And from start to finish, what Augusta does as a venue, whether it's staff, whether it's the landscape, obviously the players, it's just awesome.
You
Who are you cooking? You're just cooking for
private party.
One of the greatest quarterbacks of all time there? Is that kind of how it goes?
He didn't end up coming this time. He had something going on that he didn't make it. So was Doug and his group. But now I've got to know these guys. They're company based here in Fort Worth. So super fun. Like I'm friends with all of them now. But you came up because I like watching the celebrity, who do you see? There's so many celebrities out there with no phones, so it's a trip. So we'd get back that night, and I'm obviously looking for you and Josh out there, and people would run down who they saw. And then this one girl is like, yeah, we saw Josh Allen. I'm like, damn it. I'm like, that's who I was looking for. Knowing you were out there.
Yeah, Josh, he'll take care of me, man. He's a great business partner to have, but first and foremost, just a beautiful friend inside and out. So he's just an awesome guy.
And what a time you have out there, right? Nobody's in a bad mood. You're having a blast. Here, another connection for, where you're from. This will make sense. But the second night, people were like, man, we saw Griffey at Amen Corner. And my friend Chad with Whiskey Bent has introduced me to Griffey. And he was down there taking pictures. And they said he was speaking to people. I'm like, man.
Shout out Chad.
Yeah, I love Chad. So, and I watched an interview with Griffey later because I know he does that. I'm like, well, how'd he get into that? And I guess it was, he said, watching his kids' sports and being bugged all the time. So he took up photography so people couldn't bug him. But they're bugging him at the Masters, apparently.
It's him. Who else? It's Randy Johnson. Yeah.
Crazy.
Dude, we could go on and on stuff like that on the events that you cook out. Give me a few. Jimmy Fallon.
Yeah, that was crazy.
You've done stuff with President Trump and that crew. What are some cool places that you've had to do cooking at?
I often say that my wife doesn't, get her skirt blown up by celebrities. I'll get things she doesn't care. She's just grounded. But I called her at lunch one day, and she was with her friends, and I said, hey, I just got an email from NBC saying Jimmy Fallon's a big fan and wants to have me on the Tonight Show. And she was like, what'd you say? She got excited about that one. That's easily the coolest because, showed up to New York and met him during rehearsals, and he grabs one of my balls of seasoning. He's like, man, I put this stuff on, everything. And I said, you do? And I'm like, well, where'd you hear about it? And he's like, during COVID, I started wanting to cook, and I found this guy on YouTube and started watching him. And I said, man, he's funny. I said, wait, you just said I'm funny? And my wife's like, you're not funny. So that was definitely a trip. Super
that dude,
fun.
He's been a big, he's been one of the guys. There's a few that I like to just study, especially in this profession.
Yeah.
Obviously, Pat McAfee's the best at what he does. But Jimmy, believe it or not, and he doesn't know me from Adam. I ran into him at a golf course in New York one time because my guest locker was next to his locker and exchanged hellos. But if somebody said, what would you what's your goal? I would love to, and I don't bring anything to the table, man. I started a company to shine light on farmers and ranchers and the people that feed us every day because I don't think anybody does it. Yeah. So I said, hey, I want to do it. I want to be the guy that shines light on the most important people that we have. Farmers and our military men and women, I'm putting on the same level. I just am. If there's two things that I'd like to be secured as a country, it's my security being my military and my food being my farmer. So I've always said I want to be on Jimmy Fallon one day.
He was great. Nicest guy. People don't pay attention or read anymore. So we did get a lot of social comments about, he's liberal or whatever. He's actually, I understand to be apolitical. He makes fun of both sides. And besides, I grew up when you could have differences and it was okay, but now we're wired to hate each other if we don't agree on things. But man, it was the most fun I've ever had. I'm super grateful to him. I sent him a really nice thank you gift after because I'm like, that's the coolest thing that anyone's ever done for me. So I sent him this massive rosewood block, butcher block, with his name on it, and hopefully he's using it.
That's awesome. What's some more that you've done that you were just blown away? Because I'm assuming, Matt, and this is me giving you your flowers, like all the boys and women, like when they say, dude, you had Meat Church on your show? And I hate that it's Meat Church. Like, no, man, it's Matt Pittman. I'm talking to Matt Pittman. You know, Meat Church is cool and all, but I like Matt as a person. I mean, the people that have been on the show, we've talked about Parker McCollum, Blake Ferguson, you know, all the boys that just love, they think they can cook. But I'm just assuming, like, if somebody needs somebody to cook for them, they're calling you. Like, it's time for you to sit back and just realize, damn.
Yeah.
Like, I'm the guy. Like, I created something that's a value that's very important. And there's so many aspects of cooking. I'm always going to draw it back to the farmers. I mean, you don't have this without your farmers because they provide, obviously, and you provide the meat for the cooking. But it's just so cool to sit back and look and watch your success. And you're very humble and respectful, and you're a family guy first, which I love about you. But that's got to make you feel just good.
It is really the coolest thing. Like, I've turned my hobby into business, which is cool in of its own. And we did, you know, I was really big on carving my own niche and path. Like, what I do and the way I do it, there's nobody that is doing what we're doing. Like, there's definitely people that have big social media followings and they immediately go, like, create a seasoning, you know, because they need a product to sell. But that's not what we did. You know, I was making seasoning and then teaching people how to cook. That's my core. Then I started getting these kind of, I guess you would call it celebrity cooking gigs. I got interviewed the other day, and someone said, you're the, our agricultural commissioner came to Waxahachie to announce a new festival. And they interviewed me about it. They asked me to be at this red carpet thing. And then they said, we understand, you know, you're the cook for the stars. You're the barbecue guy of celebrities. And I said, I've been hearing that lately, and it's nuts because, like I said earlier, no representation. It's just kind of happened. And we don't have a restaurant. We don't cater. But we want to do these cool opportunities. And every year, you know, at the end of the year, we do like you look at social media and do a recap of your year, and I'm like, man, I'm never going to top cooking for these people. And then these new things just happen. It's bizarre. They come out of nowhere. Like, you remember near the tail end of COVID, like when COVID was still going on and baseball playoffs, they were actually here in Arlington. So I took my son to the Braves Dodgers. And then after the game, there's no one there. It was crazy. Get home, and I open my Instagram, and I have a DM from Bryce Harper. He's like, hey, big fan. Next time you're in Atlanta and we play, let me know. I'll take care of you and your son. I'm like, are you Bryce Harper? So
dude,
he uses Meat Church, and like I'm on the phone with him this past Christmas, walking him through his brisket. Now, obviously, I don't charge for this sort of thing, and my wife's like, what are you doing on the phone? It's Christmas. And I'm like, I'm just telling Bryce how to make brisket. It's the coolest thing ever. So when he was hurt a year ago, there was All-Star game was in Seattle. There's like a fan experience, and somebody that I know sends me a picture of his locker, and there's 2 bottles of Meat Church in the locker. And I text him, I'm like, dude, thanks for doing this. He's like, actually, we don't do that. He's like, the equipment manager, the clubhouse manager, you know, like sets up the locker. I said, well, why would he put that in there? He goes, well, like half the clubhouse uses your stuff. I said, for real? Like, I don't know how this happens, but to your point, it's the coolest thing. Like, yes, it was my hobby. Now I'm working harder and more hours than I've ever worked because I don't know. I just realized we've caught lightning in a bottle, and you don't want to turn things down. Mm-hmm. But it is super special. It's a family business. My oldest son and his wife are my right and left hand at the company.
Good.
My 12-year-old, I feel like, he'll be the personality one day. He's got the gift of gab more than I do. So it is definitely special. It drives my wife crazy because of how busy I am, but it also has been obviously the biggest blessing to my family that I could ever imagine.
That's a great DM story. Any other crazy like DMs that you've gotten?
You know, what's funny is like we normally don't look because if we don't have like the biggest account, but you know, 900 something thousand, you get a lot of random. So it's just not sustainable. We don't pay someone to look at all that stuff. So we just look here and there. And now it's a little easier. You can kind of sort and see some stuff, but I mean, there's, I'm sure, crazy stuff that we've missed, but I mean, yeah, we'll hear from actors and, you know, it's all sorts of people. Like, I'll give you a great one. I haven't talked about this in a while. So one day, Thomas Rhett tags me, and I'm like, well, that's crazy. Everybody starts texting me about it, and he didn't follow Meat Church, but he had tagged me, so I DM'd him, and I was like, hey, you know, my family's fans. Thanks for using my stuff. Let me know if I can ever help you. And I put my number in there. Well, we were at our lake house, and I remember this was on a Friday. The next day, I'm getting a FaceTime from Thomas Rhett, and I'm in bed. And I've never talked to him. So I jump out of bed, And I go answer, and he has no shirt on. And he's like, hey, what's up? And he's like all stoked to talk to me. And I'm like, this is insanity. I'm FaceTime with Thomas Rhett, and he has no shirt on, and his hair's all crazy. I don't even remember what the hell we talked about. But fast forward, he has worn a meat shirt at 2 concerts on purpose. I mean, he's like been so good to me. I've gone to Nashville, to cook for the charity that he and his wife support. And there's a whole lot of that we do. But, my whole family was all into that. And not to take you down this path, but we're at Billy Bob's in Fort Worth, and a guy texts me, I'm here, and Thomas Rhett's wearing your shirt. And I'm like, yeah, I know, I'm with him. And, well, I'm here with my daughter. She works with Luke Casey. He was at the Luke Casey store. Do you want to work with Luke Casey? Now we work with Luke Casey. It's the craziest thing. Then we cook for Parker McCollum's album release party because he works with Luke Casey. So it's this just trail of craziness. So if you ever see Thomas Rhett, he knows. Like one day he called me with a shirt on. I go, well, this is weird. You have your shirt on.
Yeah.
Because there were multiple no shirt calls.
No, we've Ryan, obviously, he's talked to TR about me, and we're going to do his charity thing this year in September.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, you'll be there, I'm assuming. Maybe, hopefully.
Yeah, we've been there a few times in Nashville. It's fun. Bring your deep pockets.
Yeah, I know.
Or sit on your hands, one of the two.
Exactly. Man, this episode, I tell you, and Matt, just a beautiful friend, but we've talked about Miller Lite. We've talked about Luke Casey. Golly, I'm an Outlaw Light guy. I'm a Tecovas guy, but that's okay. We can agree to disagree. Do you have any go-to, favorite recipes that you've done over the years?
I always feel like I'm copping out when I answer this because somebody asked me this yesterday, and we're big steak eaters in our house, and by the way, we're lucky to work with a lot of really good. You talk about farmers, I put ranchers in the same category. We're lucky to work with some really amazing ranchers and have access to like next level meat. So there's that. But my family, including my young kids, love steak. So we eat steak at I about said meat church at Matt Pittman's house. Multiple times a week.
Are you cooking? Are you the cook in the house?
Always. My wife doesn't cook at all. I only know her to be able to make ramen and what she calls egg in a basket, which is where you put a piece of bread with a hole in it and a skillet and you put an egg in it.
That sounds pretty good.
God love her, but she cleans like crazy. But she's like, well, you love cooking. I'm like, yeah, but I'd like to have a Tuesday night off. If you want to make a hamburger helper, I'd love it.
Tracy, right?
Yes, Tracy.
Shout out Miss Tracy for putting
She's
up
the
with
best.
you. But yeah.
This morning, she goes, where are you going? I was like, I got to go film a podcast. But yeah, it's a crazy, crazy life. But, we're cooking steak all the time. But I'll tell you on meatchurch.com, we got, it's where I house all my recipes. The one I talked about yesterday, we have this Nashville hot chicken recipe. When that kind of got popular, my take on it is I take chicken and I soak it in pickle juice for 2 hours, which tenderizes it and gives it flavor. And it's not a crazy pickle flavor. And then obviously we bread it and fry it. And then you put, you put some cayenne, you pull some of the oil out, you put some cayenne in it, some brown sugar, a little bit of barbecue seasoning, and it makes the best sandwich. It's got to be, I don't know, I feel like it's a top 3 recipe on our site. So if we're ever having something where people are coming over, if you make that, people are blown away by it. And it's not barbecue, and anybody can make it. You can cook it inside or outside, and it's super popular.
God, that sounds good. Do you think for 4th of July this year we could collab on a recipe? Like a
100%.
farmer and meat church?
100%.
And it be our 4th of July meal?
Yeah.
Dude, that would be
Let's
awesome.
do it. So we go to Florida. This is really cool perk of, what our business has done for us. But we bought a house in Florida, Miramar Beach. So
Okay,
it's
yeah,
outside Destin.
Yeah.
So I've got a Traeger on my porch there, and it's my favorite thing to throw down on it. And we're across we're not on the ocean, we're across the street from it, but we have crazy amount of palm trees out front. So I took the Traeger upstairs to the porch so that when I'm grilling, the palm trees can be literally right in front of my face. And it's my favorite thing in the world to just put my beer on the grill and just throw down whatever it is that we're doing. So we can do that for sure.
What do you do when you're not barbecuing? Other than watching the Cowboys lose.
I'll tell people cooking is what I do.
I told myself I would no more Cowboy jokes.
That's okay. That's quite all right. Oh, you brought the Fergusons up. I love the Ferguson brothers. Just talked to Blake, was texting me last night, and then, shout out to Reed, longest tenured Buffalo Bill, which I didn't realize until this year that he had been there that long, which is nuts. But
stud. It's good to have those especially in those positions, just some familiarity in the organization. Like James Winchester's another long snapper with the Kansas City Chiefs, big outdoors guy, and you want those staple pieces of the organization to be familiar. Number one, because it's a culture thing.
I've been I told the Ferguson brothers that, my 12-year-old's eat up with football now. He didn't used to be till he met Troy and this flip switched, and now he loves football. But he has a beautiful arm. Like, he throws a great ball, but he's like slower than a sloth. And so I'm like, do you think you could teach him to long snap? Because you can do that for a long time. And now you can't get crushed by the linemen. So I literally talked to our head coach the other day, and I said, "Is that a thing in 7th grade?" He's going to say he'll try out for junior high football this year.
Good.
And he's like, "Oh yeah, we need a long snapper, so we'll see."
But what else are you doing like when you're not?
So I'm huge outdoorsman, love to hunt. Getting that same 12-year-old into it the past 2 years has been like the most rewarding thing. He's really into fishing right now because obviously it's not we just got out of turkey season, but other than that, it's not hunting season here right now. So we bought some land near us that we're going to build hopefully like our forever home on, and it's on what's known as a soil conservation lake. So it's like a 16-acre private lake basically, and he's been eating it up fishing out there. He caught like a 7-pound bass out of it recently. So love to get outside and do that. He's 12 and my daughter is 14. They both play sports. She plays club volleyball, and if you ever get into that, it dominates your life. So right now, currently takes up, it's insane. It is, she played 10 tournaments this year. So up until 2-3 weeks ago, it was nonstop. And so she's just made her top team at her club. And so it's very serious. So, either you're in or you're out on that. So a whole lot of our time is doing that. But like you said, we're total family people. So it's all family all the time. And hopefully I can get out and hunt and fish, and a lot of Stars games right now. So that's kind of the deal right now at the Pittman household.
Oh, you are high in Texas here. I can just feel. And I landed yesterday and just felt. Got the Stars, just had the country music, the ACMs. We got PBR. I love these. I'll tell you. This has been a great episode. Every time I have a Texan on the show, whether it's Parker or George or yourself, Tyler, Tony would do perfect.
Oh, that's my guy.
The DP boys, I love Tyler, man.
I met him. He lives next door to Dak, and
yes.
So
he does. Yeah,
he did meet. Dude, we got to pause for a second to shout out Tyler. So I meet him, and randomly, like the next week, he was out near our lake house, came over, ate crawfish. So my kids were like, Tyler. But fast forward, my son went to a birthday party, and it ends up being Dude Perfect themed. And I text him. I said, "I'm sure you get this all the time, but if you're around, could you FaceTime me?" Immediately FaceTimes me. I hand the phone to the kid. It's his birthday. I was like a hero.
Oh, my God.
He is the best, because I'm sure everybody wants his time, but he's super cool.
The fact that all those boys, and they took us when we did his episode, we got to go to HQ and all that. And, you built a brand, what would you say, 16 and under, probably?
Yeah, I don't know. I watched it when they started, but I don't know what their demo is, but I know that that kids are way into it.
That's what I'm saying, and they've done it for a long time, and they're just all great people. They were at Augusta with us this year, and it's like what those boys do is just unbelievable.
It's
and
super cool.
Tyler's down. He's solved it.
Talk about turning your hobby into a business.
No kidding. You kidding me? Golly.
Yeah.
Educate me a little bit, because you're getting to do, you're doing all this cool stuff for all these fun people, but how are you making money? You're not in the restaurant business. I'd love to get your take on why you aren't in the restaurant business, because you could probably open up a meat church restaurant and sell out in a day. But what are you doing you're selling, whether it's merch or seasoning, all of that, but how do you make money?
Seasoning is 99% of our revenue, and so just a little bit about it. I think we make the freshest, what I'll call craft barbecue seasoning. It's not all barbecue, by the way. We have a gourmet line that's stuff you use inside, like lemon, pepper, garlic, and herb, a seafood seasoning, a seasoned salt, and then we've got these bigger format, what we call barbecue rubs. And there's even a couple in there that are seasonings. We've got one called Blanco that is that could replace salt and pepper, but all the others are barbecue rubs, and that's where it all comes from. And what's interesting, we spend all this time talking about all the cool stuff that I do. That's what we call the Matt Pittman side of the business. The other side of the business is these seasonings. And we've just been really blessed that I think it is the top seller. That's hard to prove, but I got all these random factoids, like it's the number one seller at Ace Hardware. We were the Ace Hardware Vendor of the Year last year, which is nuts. Number one at Shields, number one at Buc-ee's, number one at Academy Sports and Outdoors. Anyway, and then we got Amazon stats and things like that. But It's
In Buc-ee's.
Yeah, Buc-ee's. We've been there forever, ever and
you.
ever and ever. Yeah, that's such a crazy store now, blowing up outside of Texas. But we're really fanatical about those, about what goes in them, how fresh it is. It is truly the freshest in the market. We ship ourselves, so it doesn't go off to some warehouse somewhere. So it gets made right here and shipped out like immediately. So that is where all our revenue comes from. We'll probably start to expand into other things this year. You know, people are like, why don't you do barbecue sauce? I'm like, well, we've been so good at the seasoning game. But obviously we have a captive audience, a lot of followers. Makes sense to do sauce. So we'll get into some other stuff. We're working on some barbecue fuels and things like that. But the revenue all comes from that. And if you look at our social, we hardly ever talk about it. It's truly a lifestyle brand. It's like, here we're out cooking. I mean, we use our stuff, but, you know, you don't see a whole lot of posts saying, come buy this meat church, holy cow. It's more like, here's how you use it, or here's how we're using it.
It's a lifestyle, and you've done a great job.
Yeah, it's intentionally a lifestyle brand. That's why we have a lot of apparel, a lot of merch. You know, we're trying to sell a lifestyle. I'm not really trying to sell it. We're just trying to show you what we do, and fortunately, people dig it.
What do you have coming down the pipeline, man? Anything cool? Like, you could say, hey, we are opening up a restaurant, or actually, Pat, I'm doing a TV show. I mean, I'd believe it all at this point, because that's what you built. Like, what are your goals, man? What are your dreams?
I will touch on the restaurant thing since you brought it up.
Yeah.
We just, you know, we went a different direction, and we've been fortunate that we've built a big business without having to do that. And by the way, we're in Texas, so for people that watch this, listen to this, that don't know, barbecue is literally a religion in the state, and it's held to almost an unfair standard. Like if somebody wants to come in and just open a barbecue restaurant just to make money, you can do it, but
good luck.
Yeah, it's not. We have these crazy measures here. There's a list called the Texas Monthly Top 50, and everybody aspires to be on it. If you make it, it'll change your life.
Can you tell me your top 3 barbecue joints in Texas?
Yeah, I would say number 1 by far and away is Dane's Craft Barbecue in Aledo, which is west of Fort Worth. Dane and Ashley Weaver, very good friends of mine, met organically. Dane used to apparently use our seasoning and DM me brisket pictures that I never knew, and did what I'll call illegal pop-ups out of his garage. That's a weird word, but, you know, made barbecue at home and opened the doors and sold it. And now has the greatest barbecue restaurant that I can't say this about anybody else. I've never taken one bite of anything he has served. You're like, that's okay. It's all banging. It's never wrong. Last time I ate there, I took Jarrett Stidham, Broncos quarterback, lives in Aledo. We went and ate there. But I love Dane's. I think Burnt Bean down in Seguin, a guy named Ernest owns that. Ernest and I were friends through the competition world, and he is one of the rare people that has pivoted out of competition into restaurant barbecue, which is completely different barbecue, and is crushing it. And he's a classically trained chef, but he's got a big time like Mexican approach to his menu. So it's not just, you're not just getting brisket ribs and chicken. You know, you're getting like all sorts of like traditional like chilaquiles, like Mexican breakfasts that have barbecue in it. I think those two, and then down in Central Texas, I'm a huge fan of Interstellar Barbecue, which also owned by a chef that just everything's elevated. Like all the herbs are like out of a garden in the back, and the problem it's really hard to rank because I have so many friends that make such amazing barbecue, but like those are definitely,
that's a good list.
Yeah.
But so going back, like a restaurant you probably don't see yourself doing.
Yeah, I never say never, but it's not planned. We have been offered, typical partnerships or whatever. We'll build your restaurant. I'll give you a great example. AT&T, that's a Fortune 10 company. Their headquarters downtown Dallas. They were literally going to build what I think would have been the most beautiful barbecue restaurant anywhere. And my wife wants nothing to do with the restaurant, and she went with me to this pitch. This was years ago. And we left there, and she looked at me and she said, we need to consider that. And I was like, what? Like, I was shocked because she wants nothing to do with the restaurant. And we didn't do it. I mean, the next day, she was like, you tossed and turned all night. What's wrong with you? And I said, well, we have 4 kids, and I feel like we just left the doctor who told us that you're pregnant with triplets. I don't need 7. So we decided not to do it. But, limited revenue by 4 walls of a building plus catering. But it has to be so perfect. It would take up so much of my time, and the revenue's limited to what I just said. Whereas we've built a business we're very proud of, and is honestly, we can make a lot more money doing what we're doing. But the number one question by far and away is when you're going to open a restaurant. It kind of gives us a little mystique. You either got to come to a festival or get me to cook for you to have our food.
I love that. But what else? I mean, do you have anything that you are planning to do? I mean, I think you on a TV show would be awesome. But.
Yeah, I do think that would be cool because so I want to host some stuff. That's kind of like I can talk, right? Obviously. So I just emceed my first festival this past weekend, Lone Star Smokeout here in Texas. That's like the brother to the Chicago's Windy City Smokeout. And that was so much fun. My wife was on a girls trip and she came back and she said, so you just walked on that stage and started talking to all those people? Like, how'd you even do that? It's just like natural to me. So I really would like to host. And when I watch all these shows, there are professional chefs or different people in these capacities doing it. I could kill it, but I don't have an agent where I'm trying to go get that. Mm-hmm. So I do aspire to do that. Also, there are no good barbecue shows on, or even outdoor cooking shows. There's one here, Barbecue Brawl. I mean, I'm just going to say this. I can't stand it. It's shtick, right? Like, I understand why producers want like a train wreck, to get views. It's just like reality TV. You want something to happen. Funny story. Little Women of Dallas was filmed at my house one episode, and I watched. They're trying to incite fights. So I understand it, but, I was cast to be on Chopped years ago, and I called back a few weeks later, and I said, I'm pulling out. And they're like, why? And I told them because it was interfering with my kid's spring break. But I thought about it, and I'm like, it's Chopped like a barbecue edition, but it was all to be cooked within an hour inside. I'm like, that's dumb.
You can't do that.
And a friend of mine went on there, and he said, yeah, we had to make beef ribs inside in an hour. I'm like, that's just stupid. So, there's a spot in the world for a proper show in my mind. The like traditional cooking shows, it's not dead, but obviously people are getting it from social and things like that. But I would love to host, so that's definitely a big desire. We're currently really working on major facility things. We went and bought a new, beautiful corporate headquarters. We were previously officing out of our brick and mortar barbecue supply shop. So we bought 6 acres out, and you'll love this, out in the country on purpose to be out of the city limits. Beautiful building on 6 acres, and we have plenty of room that we're future-proofed. No matter what we want to build, we got plenty of room to do it. I mean, in a crossover of all crossovers, I have so much space that I just started housing buses for country music guys. This is so crazy. Wow. First bus pulled in yesterday. So, yeah, I've got 3 friends, Texas musicians, that their buses are going to be housed at Meat Church because I've got the room and I've got the power, and the spot in Dallas is busy. So that
diversification is important, especially when you're owning real estate.
I mean, one friend called me. He goes, "What in the hell? Like, how did this happen?" I was like, "I don't know, man. It's just people I know." I got asked the question, thought it made a ton of sense. So here we are,
dude.
I'm the bus yard for. I'm the alternate bus yard to the Prevost one's full. So holler at me at Meat Church if you need to park your bus.
I could literally sit here and talk to you for hours, man. I mean, this has been unbelievable. Cool. You are a great human being, and what you've built is incredible. Who you are is even more incredible, and I'm glad that we got to talk a little bit about it today. But keep doing what you're doing, man. Seriously.
Thank you for having me. This has been super fun. It's crazy how it works out. You're here, and we get to do this. So
it all leads back to cooking too, man. I mean, hunting, what you go and kill, there's a cooking aspect. Athletes, what they put in their body to be successful on the field, there's a cooking aspect. Yeah. So keep doing what you're doing, and I appreciate you more than you know, and look forward to continuing to build this friendship and see what cool stuff we can do.
Yeah, I'm going to be thinking on this July 4th collab that we're going to do.
Yeah, we'll do it.
We'll come up with something.
Appreciate y'all tuning in. As always, every single Wednesday, you can catch me and my beautiful guest on YouTube or wherever you listen to your audio podcast. Matt Pittman, another great episode. And as always, continue to like, comment, subscribe, share, do whatever you got to do to be like a farmer.